This is a staff proposal to provide $5 million in funding over 5 years to help start the Firearm Violence Research Center at UC. The Research Center is designated in pending legislation to evaluate the effectiveness of existing gun control policies and to promote responsible ownership of firearms. Thank you.
Okay. Finance, not your proposal, but any comments?
Marin Sirkisa, Department of Finance. We oppose the proposal.
Okay. And UC?
Only just to say that this was not an item that was in the original Regents budget. However, we certainly believe that it's a worthwhile research center. It would be a worthwhile endeavor with the caution that, of course, one-time funding, often going to the university to establish certain types of centers or programs is just that. It's one time. And so afterwards, there would need to be other resources available to continue the effort.
Yeah, I believe this is a Senate Democratic Caucus initiative coming out of Senator Wolk's bill. Any questions, colleagues? Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So then there's no one here at the panel to defend the program?
We have to ask the panel that.
Not finance, at least.
Yeah, okay, so then no one can tell me why it's called the Firearm Violence Research Center as opposed to the Criminal Violence Research Center or the Knives Violence or Bat Violence. I mean, what?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, I mean, it's a rhetorical question you're saying?
I mean,
okay.
That's my sense.
It seems like we should be researching violence. I mean, AB 109 and Prop 47 impacting counties. But, all right, I think I made my point. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we will move to a vote on, let's take each item separately. I know that item 5, Senator Morlock wants to separate out. So why don't we take, yes.
Just quickly, I just to comment on the, I heard the UC's concerns, and I understand you're working with the committee to make sure that everyone's on the same page, and I'm fully planning on supporting all these items with that understanding.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. We'll move to public comment, then a vote on each item separately. With that, I want to thank and excuse this panel. If members of the public have comments on any of the 3 items we've heard relating to the University of California, either the funding issue, the A to G Success Initiative, or the Firearms Violence Research Center, please come forward. And you have up to 1 minute. You can begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Block, members of the committee. My name is Tanner Kelly. I'm a student at UCLA, graduating senior. Just wanted to be here today to say thank you for your plan to grow graduate student enrollment. It's really hard when you have a class of 300 students and you only have 2 TAs. So that's really huge for us, and we really thank you for doing that. And obviously, funding enrollment growth at the $10,000 per student is really important to us so that it doesn't negatively impact services like mental health and housing, which are already so difficult for us. So I just wanted to come here and express my thanks and ask for your support.
Well, thank you. Next speaker.
Mr. Chair and members, my name is Andrew Medina from Asian Americans Advancing Justice, California. We're part of a larger coalition, the College for All Coalition, in support of item 3, the staff recommendation for increased enrollment slots, in particular the piece that would dedicate some of those slots for a plan for students from high schools. There are 70% low-income English language learner or foster care students. College education is the best way to address poverty. Those with a college degree make 56% more than those with a high school degree. So from the coalition, we feel that this is one of the best ways to address poverty in our communities. So thank you for the staff recommendation, and we stand in support of that.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Liz Ortega. I'm with AFSCME 3299, representing 23,000 members across the University of California. And I'm actually not here to speak on the agenda item or any of the agenda items. Our issue was not placed on the agenda, but I felt it was important for you to be alerted to the issue because it deserves your attention. So I'm here to talk about the UC's pension plan. So So Napolitano's proposed retirement package goes against the intention of the legislature and your committee. That is to curb UC's executive compensation. The standalone 401k benefit that Napolitano snuck into the budget deal is nothing but a cash giveaway to executives, allowing high-paid executives to circumvent the cap altogether. For an executive earning $265, for example, or more, he or she would get an additional $7,400 a year more in benefits and could walk away with up to $84,000 more if she or he left before the 5 years of service.
Thank you. Now,
Thank
and
you.
as I said, maybe you weren't here earlier, but you just have 1 minute to give us the headlines, but please give us any additional backup materials you want, or they will make sure all members of the committee get them. So this is a long and complex issue, and I welcome any additional information from you. So thank you for
We will do that. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Betty Clark. I've been a hospital unit service coordinator at UC Davis Medical Center at the Cardiac and Thoracic ICU for 15 years. I'm also an executive board member with AFSCME 3299. Like thousands of my colleagues across the UC system, I was appalled last month to see that the regents and Janet Napolitano approve a pension proposal that required the taxpayers to subsidize the already bulging pockets of the UC executives. In doing so, it goes directly against what you voted for in the budget. Let me be clear, as a condition to last year's budget deal to help pay down the UC's unfunded pension liability, Governor Brown never required a 401k pension opt-out scheme. For everyone who works at UC Davis, UC system, that is not at the pay grade of Linda Katehi, I can tell you that this issue is quite personal. We work very hard for not that much money, but commitment to the public service and promise of retirement security. In March, when the Regents voted to allow the UC's richest staff to bail out of our pension plan, they jeopardized the funding model on which all of us rely when we retire.
Thank you. And again, I'll repeat the same thing to you. Please give us any supplemental information you wish. Next speaker, please.
Mr. Chair and members, Brian Allison on behalf of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. I just want to reiterate our position from AFSCME's perspective. This is our #1 priority. Generally, and in respect, with respect to this budget, is protecting the retirement security of our workers at the UC system. So we're happy to continue to work with the members of the committee and the chair. We think this is a proposal that requires some scrutiny and to be investigated upon the merits, but we think that it's important that we're protecting the retirement security of workers and not undermining the savings that would otherwise come from a very carefully crafted deal last year that had the approval of both of the houses. So thank you for your time, and we look forward to working with you moving forward.
And Mr. Allison, thank you. While you're here, this is not one of the items that we're voting on right now. So my advice would be that the work be done to work with the Budget Committee as a whole, who will consider the entire budget and appreciate AFSCME's input.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you
for that recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, with the end of public comment, I want to thank each of the speakers. We now move to a vote on these 3 items. Let's take them one at a time. First is item 3 under issue number 2, University of California funding. Ask staff to please read and call the roll.
Issue 2, item 3, adopt modified budget bill language to increase the item by $51 million to do all of the following. 1, enroll 4,000 more undergraduate resident students and to establish a program for each campus to significantly increase the number of resident students enrolled from high schools at 75% or more unduplicated students and provide targeted student support services. 2, allocate $6 million to enroll 600 more graduate students. 3, require UC to provide a report by May 1st, 2018 on whether it has met the 2017-18 enrollment goal. 4, if the university does not meet the enrollment goal, funding for the difference between the enrollment goal and actual enrollment will be reverted back to the general fund. Senator Block?
Aye.
Senator Morlock?
No.
Senator Allen?
Please show that passing 2-1 and close the roll. Move on to item 4, issue 2, A to G Success Initiative.
Adopt placeholder trailer bill language for $4 million for the development of A through G courses at K through 12 districts within an existing UC outreach program. Senator Block?
Aye.
Senator Morlock?
Aye.
Senator Allen?
Please show that passing 3-0 and close the roll. Moving to item 5 under issue 2, Firearm Violence Research Center.
Adopt placeholder trailer bill language for $5 million one-time general fund to establish the Firearm Violence Research Center. Senator Block?
Aye.
Senator Morlock?
No.
Senator Allen?
Please show that passing 2-1 and close the roll. And now we're going to move on to California State University, which is issue 3, items 6 to 8. Ask the CSU to come forward along with the Department of Finance and the Legislative Analyst's Office. Okay, we'll begin with the LAO on item 6, which is unallocated base augmentation.
Jason Constantoros, LAO. This is a governor's January proposal. It is to provide CSU with an unallocated base increase of $148.3 million. And this is in nature very similar to the proposal right here is very similar to the one you just heard for UC. So I'll just say our recommendation was very similar. We recommended setting priorities for CSU through the budget process. In addition to that, there's a staff recommendation to provide additional funding to the governor's January proposal of $27.35 million to enroll 3,565 additional FTE students in 2016-17 over 2015-16 levels. Excuse me. In addition to that, there would the recommendation would be to CSU to write 2 different reports detailing their progress on meeting that enrollment goal. And if the target is not met within a certain margin of error, all of the funding, the $27 million funding, would revert back to the general fund. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Paul Glozisi with the LAO. Just a quick correction. The $27.35 million is not an augmentation on top of the governor's. It's a carve out within the governor's.
Apologies for that. That was a misspeak on my part.
No problem. Thank you both. Let's move to finance. Any comments?
Maritza Urquiza, Department of Finance. We would just say we have concerns about the earmark for enrollment.
Okay. And now let's hear from CSU.
Ryan Storm from the CSU Chancellor's Office. Thank you for the time. I think one of the things, in just reading the staff recommendation and the write-up here, that I wanted to just doubly make sure, and I think it was a comment from my colleague at the LAO, is the recommendation here or the description to actually revert all of that 27 million, or is it on a proportional share? Because the agenda is written up in a much different way than depicted. That's the only clarification I'm seeking,
Yeah,
sir.
the intent is to allocate the entire amount to enrollment increase of 3,565 FTS.
Okay. And in terms of lining up the support budget request of the CSU and the amount that has been provided by the administration, as you're well aware, the support budget request of the CSU can accommodate 12,600 additional students. 1/3 of that would be equivalent to this amount that is stated here. So we've already indicated to our campuses that they could grow enrollments by that more conservative estimate and support budget. So I don't think we would have a problem meeting that goal, but just wanted to let you know that I'm sure that we'll be fine on that. In terms of reporting, that reporting language, that's fine to do too. Just as a point of note, we've already been very transparent with you and provided on a regular basis already where we are in terms of enrollment as we go, reporting it in fall and reporting it in spring, so that shouldn't be a problem either.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from committee members? Seeing none, we will move on to item 7 under issue 3. This has to do with one-time funding for new plans to improve graduation rates. LAO first.
This is a governor's May proposal. The proposal is to eliminate an existing reporting requirement for CSU. Under the existing reporting requirement, CSU is required to establish a 3-year plan, setting targets for certain performance metrics, and also establishing an expenditure plan under revenue assumptions provided by the Department of Finance. It's identical to requirement for UC as well. This proposal would eliminate that report and create a new report that sets targets for the following metrics. It would set targets for 4-year graduation rates for freshmen, 2-year graduation rates for transfers, and in addition, it would require that CSU close the graduation gap, 4-year and 2-year graduation gap between freshmen and transfers for Pell eligible and non-Pell eligible students. In addition, the proposal would provide CSU $25 million in one-time funding. Funding would be contingent on the Department of Finance receiving and approving that report developed by the CSU. CSU would also have to establish a very specific time frame in order to achieve those goals. At this time, we do recommend rejecting this proposal for 3 reasons. First, it focuses on one measure, that is 4-year and 2-year graduation rates, but the state adopted a larger list of performance metrics that it's also been concerned about over the years. Secondly, we also recommend rejecting because it eliminates the expenditure plan. We do find that expenditure plan to be somewhat helpful. It allows us to better evaluate the governor's proposal because we have an expenditure plan associated with that proposal. And then thirdly, we don't think that the $25 million funding is needed for CSU to develop the plan, and it's not clear under this proposal how CSU would use the funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance wish to comment.
The May revision proposals continue to stress the need to improve outcomes for the CSU. Our proposal takes 2 approaches. One of those is the need to set state goals and to be clearer about the role of the trustees, and the other has to do with the role of other leaders, which will be discussed in the following proposal. To create a strong financial incentive for the CSU to reach our higher goals, the May revision includes $25 million general fund on a one-time basis, contingent upon the trustees articulating clear paths with actions and timeframes for improving graduation rates for the system and for the campuses. I think our goals generally align with the staff's recommendation, but we are opposed to additional funds, those additional funds beyond what our May revision proposal.
Thank you. CSU.
Well, let me comment first about the academic sustainability plan that is being proposed by the administration to be eliminated. We would agree with the administration that that plan should be eliminated. One of the challenges that we have found with this report is it's somewhat duplicative, and it's also a very difficult exercise to really be planning for the future. First and foremost, the report is actually, every year we're required in the spring to submit a report on all those performance measures by which are also included in the academic sustainability plan. The challenge with the academic sustainability plan is to publicly commit the boards of the future to a 3-year plan on what the budget will look like 3 years out. And the challenge that we find as a board is that it's very difficult when the CSU is so dependent on the state of California for funding of the university to sit there and say, oh yes, as a board member, I am committing to make, to state publicly the future plans of future board members based on funding that is even remotely close to being provided in the CSU budget. So we think that the tool is not very productive, and we've been in that position and supported the elimination for some time. In terms of the talking about the administration's proposal for the $25 million of one-time monies, of course, that is something that would be beneficial. Right off the cuff, with this being a brand new proposal, the idea would be that we would likely be spending those on one-time activities related to our student success and completion initiatives, those sorts of things that we could help augment this current students' educational experience. For example, some of our campuses have not fully implemented e-advising and course scheduling software. One of those things that we could obviously spend that money on would be those sorts of things. If that were to be permanent money, obviously you could shift from an e-advising kind of a technical or a equipment purchase, and you actually could buy people power, where you have real live advisors on the campuses advising students. Many of our campuses are I guess, well beyond where you should be on a best practice perspective in terms of the ratio of counselors to students. And so the switch from one-time money to ongoing money is preferable. In terms of the staff recommendation, it seems like that is a direction in the right direction from the CSU's perspective. In terms of switching it from a four-year graduation for low-income students to URM and other types of students, I don't think we will have a problem with that. We have a mountain of information where we can report that information to all of you. And that's the extent of my comments.
Thank you. Dealing first with the sustainability plan, what does the LAO think about the state sustainability plan?
Well, I think that the primary interest for us for the sustainability plan is the expenditure plan for the governor's for the budget year under the governor's proposal. Having that expenditure plan gives us a little more meat to evaluate. We know that instead they'll do 1% enrollment growth rather than the 3% that their trustees' budget approved. They'll have this much for compensation. So in terms of having that expenditure plan, we find that to be somewhat helpful. The other parts of the plan, I think we're not as, we don't have as much to say on that. I don't think we'd be as concerned about losing the 3-year targets, for example, on performance metrics. Those targets don't seem to be very ambitious. And so I don't think we have as much to say on that portion of it.
Yes, CSU?
I think the value that we have in terms of the point in eliminating the academic sustainability plan from our perspective is that our board is heavily engaged in the graduation initiative of 2025. And I think what the administration is leaning towards is really focusing on 4-year and then for us also counting in 6-year graduation rates, trying to move the needle there. And with that focus being very laser-like by our board, we see that is much more of the planning that needs to be put in place. And that's the direction that our board has been gearing towards. I think the initial purpose of instituting the academic sustainability plan was really, by the administration first proposing it, was to really incentivize the board to take a different type of planning approach. And with the board having been very well invested in the graduation initiative starting back in 2009 and re-upping it again, and then also committing to re-looking at those goals for graduation rates, I think that is where the bulk of the policy making is happening, and the focus is on not necessarily on this report that we are preparing and providing to the state that really has, in our opinion, very little value.
Okay, now finance, this was originally your plan.
This was, so I don't want you to interpret our removing it from the budget bill as kind of a sense that we don't find it valuable. I think what you see in the trailer bill that we're proposing with the $25 million we've proposed is an expectation that the trustees adopt a new reporting framework. So I think we're happy to work with the LAO and try to figure out what that framework ought to look like moving forward.
Okay.
So for us, it was really not to have redundant reports in two parts of a budget expectation.
Got it. Thank you. And this dealing with the staff's recommendation. The staff's recommendation talks about including a planned timeframe to increase 4-year and 2-year graduation rates for first-generation college students and underrepresented minorities. Just capturing underrepresented minorities there. When you talk about Pell Grant or Pell Grant eligible students, we're talking about similar group here, only stated in a non-Prop 209 offensive way?
Yeah, there is some association between being an underrepresented minority and a Pell eligible student. There is some association there. It's not a perfect association.
Sure. But I'm curious, are there things, and again, I guess none of us are acting as attorneys in our current capacity, but are there things that we could do if the goal were to look at timeframes and graduation rates for Pell eligible students that cannot be done for minority students because one may run afoul of Prop 209? Low income is fine. The question is minority students, whether we are getting a problem if we state that. And I see nobody here who really has a.
I believe that Prop 209 speaks primarily to things like admissions. This is sort of a reporting requirement in plans. So I wouldn't think it would raise any concerns with that.
So this wouldn't be special support for students who fall in that group?
It's, no, just reporting.
Okay, if that's all you see this to be, that's fine.